Hello, I'm Cassie Hayes, and today I'll be presenting No Hitting the Pause Button, Organizational Resilience of Scientific Workplaces During the COVID-19 Pandemic, a project that I worked on with my collaborators as listed here, Alex Olshansky, Ava Deelman, and Kirk Key. The organizational context for this project included the National Science Foundation Major Facilities, or MFs. These are large-scale investments in scientific research projects that require specialized equipment and expertise, so fancy science. Examples include the Arecibo Observatory, the Academic Research Fleet, and the Large Hadron Collider, as pictured here. MFs gather and analyze data in often hard-to-get-to environments, such as outer space, polar regions, the ocean, etc. So why go to such great lengths with these organizations? Well, MFs form a fundamental part of academic research in the advancement of science in the United States, fostering collaboration essential to support and strengthen scientific progress. But no matter how fancy, like workplaces everywhere, the essential work of MFs got disrupted when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Some fallout the crisis caused within the community included delayed construction of new facilities, thus stunting progress and losing out on valuable research opportunities. Halting of data collection and analysis, these routine and necessary work duties that not only contribute to scientific knowledge broadly, but also give MF professionals a sense of personal meaning and satisfaction in their work. And COVID caused limitations in what could be done with allotted taxpayer funds that were already given to these facilities, which were already large scale, leading to the NSF granting a further $38.9 million to support MFs during the crisis. This situation of halted yet essential work led us to ask in this project, what strategies and mindsets were effective at promoting a resilient workplace response within NSF MFs facing the COVID-19 pandemic? And our question there was informed by some past communication literature on similar concepts. Namely, we pull from work on risk communication and organizational resilience. Lease defined risk communication as the flow of information and risk evaluations back and forth between academic experts, regulatory practitioners, interest groups, and the general public. And as you can see from that definition, risk communication research often looks at communicating with the public. However, organizations are key to crisis response. So there's a big need to understand internal to organizations' risk and crisis communication practices. And the field of organizational communication does face a growing interest in workplace crisis communication, such as with this concept of resilience. Bazanel defines resilience as the ability to bounce back or reintegrate after difficult life experiences. Further, communication is essential to this resilience, as communication shapes the very sense of normalcy upon which resilience rests. To tackle our question, guided by those concepts, we carried out semi-structured interviews with 13 MF professionals, important as we were trying to get at their experiences of this crisis. Influencing our sample size, there are only 20 MFs total in the US, and previous scholarship has suggested 10 to 15 interviews for an exploratory study, such as ours. These interviews were held virtually over Zoom, and we used otter.ai to get the rough transcripts, which we then corrected for accuracy. We analyzed these transcripts in vivo using grounded theory principles. So we went in without a specific framework really in mind, letting insights and patterns arise organically from the data. And we went through these traditional coding phases of grounded theory, so open, axial, and selective, which means we started off just digging into the data, looking for repeated and emphasized themes, And then we began sort of narrowing down our findings and the connections between the findings there. From our analysis, we identified 10 organizational communication lessons learned for workplace resilience from MFs pivoting during the COVID-19 pandemic. And first off, we found 5 pandemic response strategies. These strategies are prescriptive in nature. They're prescriptive actions to be taken during a crisis. First, promote flexible expectations at work. Many MF professionals brought up remote work options and shifts in goals because of COVID. Second, encourage information sharing in the community and ecosystem. This was a big point of regret, actually, for MF professionals. In the immediate crisis, they tended to look inwardly rather than always seeking help from others. Third, create optimal alignments across institutions. Many MFs exist within multiple layers of institutions, so many chefs in the kitchen, such as federal agencies, state laws, and sometimes even university policies. Although that layering of institutional guidance can at times cause confusion and frustration, all those layers of institutions also offered a guiding hand that was important for navigating and understanding this crisis. Fourth, sensitize teams to risk to balance safety and productivity. MF professionals described the most success when teams knew what to expect with the crisis. And fifth, keep work going. Work tasks provided a sense of meaning and purpose to MF professionals. So although adaptation and that flexibility is necessary, completely halting everything is not wise. In addition to those strategies, we also found 5 qualities of a pandemic sensitized mindset. These are more descriptive in nature. They're continuous states rather than action-based strategies. First, know your vulnerabilities or the areas of your vulnerabilities. It's not possible to prepare for everything, but having a broad awareness in place can help with that crisis response. Second, acknowledge that no science is an island and really no workplace is an island either. These are always shaped by the world, society, and public events. Third, look for socio-technical solutions rather than just technical. MF professionals, for instance, described at first trying to adopt this really high-tech video conferencing platform, but eventually they switched back to a more usable option, even though it had perhaps less technical capabilities. Fourth, integrate the personal and professional. Boundaries between work life and home life became especially blurred during the pandemic, as MF professionals described having to take care of kids and, for instance, working at the kitchen table. Fifth, cultivate a readiness to adapt in the new normal. Resilience is all about these perceptions of normalcy. And now part of that new normal involves really expecting the unexpected, as crises of various kinds and these cascading impacts of crises are inevitable. So through this study, we find that organizational resilience is often defined by dialectical tensions or contradictory forces negotiated through communication. It's all about collective sense making. So it's a communal effort to make sense of what happened and what a new normal will be as we move forward. It's about being preemptive and prepared. Crisis is inevitable, so workplaces must be kind of ready for it to strike. And related, it's about how change is a constant. Change is the normal of workplaces. And finally, it's about communicating flexibility to teams so they both feel taken care of and have camaraderie during a confusing, kind of scary event, but also so they still perform those key problem-solving type functions to keep meaningful work going during a crisis. And with this last point, all these kind of go back to communication. streams of communication and communicative acts are necessary to shape this organizational resilience in MF workplaces. So thanks so much for listening to our work. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or really any of those people listed here on the team, and we will definitely get back to you.